So, hello, Jonathan. This is Alex. I has brought me over to interpret
One,
your text number 10 in real time, I think.
exciting.
Huh? Excited. Ah, yes. Okay.
Yes. All right.
Okay, here it is. Big sword looking thing.
The mouse pointer will work,
The mouse pointer will work.
I believe.
Is that part of the text? Yes, it is. There are some
This
splotches.
is on my monitor.
Uh,
You can click to zoom
oh, I can. Okay, so there are some things which I thought might be orange
in. No, that's
markers of Converse, like pen usage, but there aren't. Okay.
That's just junk on my monitor.
Right. Okay. So, I, reading the outside, I perceive you. Question filled in by second or by bold participant where they are. Does the you in question exist? Answer no. I try to force or something. How do I scroll this? Can I scroll this efficiently? I need to be in the lexicon, and I don't know what order the lexicon document's in now, so this is going to be.
You can use this sidebar.
Yes.
Close it just for safe screens.
Sure, but it is.
But it's under the spatial and so forth. Or no, it's under the intentions.
Anyway, I see. It increases difficulty level, but I used to know what order the lexicon was in, and now I don't. This is just like the spice cabinet. I do that to triangle.
I believe the glitch in question is one of the new LCC 10 ones. It's not a Google drawing yet.
Right. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Do
force.
Actually,
yeah, that isn't.
Yeah. Okay, let triangle be my doing force. Triangle. Either ear gap or rel gap to a town marker. I guess we. That is an ambiguity with this kind of thing. Well, let's look at the rest of it. Okay. There are. I don't know what that is. That might be a figure ground line. I am at the outside of thing, which is either. What is this? Sorry, this is. I am not used to narrating this in real time. It's not funny. It's just I'm probably, not providing good content, and so anyone who signed on for good content has another thing coming. So that is also one of these push things. Oh, so that's a path. Okay. I think Sai is going to do something with this. I don't know. I haven't been told.
Do something.
With this recording.
Just put it on YouTube and on All's playlist. Same as when we analyze the obvious text.
I see.
I'll crop out the tech stuff at the beginning. Oh yes. Also, we have emoji
So, water is less something or similarly something that is probably unmarked like a red object that starts being on. Do I have in and on the correct way around? Oh, stop. Are you gonna clip out all your laughter? Or
No.
am I just this is the reason for this exercise is to make light of me, I think, not to read any text. Okay.
No, the reason is I thought you would enjoy it.
So thing which starts being red like water is you which may not exist. Let's see, now is that syntactically interacting with the thing above it?
That part I think I should just answer. The answer is no.
Okay.
That is a little bit overwhelming.
I have a part, a mind. My mind is a group. All. Let's see. All. So the all is not bound to anything on the top. You say this is meant to interact
Correct.
with this. Okay.
Treat it as if it were short.
Everything but my mind. Okay. When my mind, respectively, are two cases. There's a parallel stack there. There are more stacks down here, which are perhaps not parallel. So, I see in my mind and in the complement of my mind are probably imaginary or real here. And we are using in mind as container metaphor. All right. Now it's adjusted. Okay. Can I communicate by touch, perceive by touch? You? Okay. Oh, here's another stack, which is probably not correct. This one. Where to start? Let's jump to the bottom. Oh, yes. Okay. So I potentially am something. This is the old tool. Use as a tool. The same thing that's up here, which has the same form as you, and respectively, you question mark to cause stack, respectively, group of stack, and part of triangle, which isn't the visual perception, where the stacked thing is people getting stabbed. Is that people having a piercing hole in them? Discord event starting. So, I want to do some violence, which is this. Now, that violence is a compound event, part of which is perception, and the other part of which is what I use the thing with the same form as you to do. Which is stab people and part of event triangle. Okay. Now, thing with the same form as you, and see Juniper, sorry, see Juniper. I am also kind of lost here. I don't get to skedaddle. But that's how it goes. Okay. So thing with the same form as you, and Euryalus U are in a cavity in, respectively. Bit which I haven't gotten to yet. And not that, but something which I want to be that. And that is my hand. That gravity indicator goes with this. My hand is perpendicular to gravity, and at it, facing out, is you. All right. That.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I'm not seeing your cursor move at all. Are you?
Oh, sorry. I've been forgetting to do.
I know where you are because I wrote the thing, but I feel like that might be really confusing otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I am. In further ways that I am not, did not remind myself to be in produce archival quality content mode. I was using my eyes as the cursor, but I will have to take a second pass because I didn't integrate all of this. Okay.
There's also more that you haven't gotten to. And that is a vertical part of this.
I don't remember how to.
Just zoom in first, click it, and scroll. And tilt it side to side.
Okay. There's no more to the image than this, correct?
Correct. That is the target.
So, what is Sias or I haven't gotten to?
You have not looked at the triangle. You have not looked
This,
at...
you mean?
Correct.
I started with that. I'll have to come back to it. So, the triangle is my intended doing of violence. If that is how we lost that in the relay, and haven't learned that one very well yet. Yeah. Oh yes, I gave up on the top part, but what else did you think I haven't done?
The stack.
There are at least 3
analysis.
stacks. There's this stack. There's this stack. There's this stack. There's that stack. I guess I took there to be 4 lots of stacks.
And there's a bit of text next to your cursor that you have here.
This. This. Yes, Jonathan probably heard me analyze that. Red similar to water is probably blood here, isn't it? Okay. Now, I need to figure out which of the two readings of this I want. This is the ground near the outside of which I am. Is that ground more likely to have a time that is this violence, or Aerialis be this violence? Probably the latter. The violence is not literally a time. So, you push me to this violence. Blood starts being at you on your surface. Or I don't actually know how you answer a stacked question. Are you in my mind? Are you not in my mind? Or are you in the complement of my mind? Can I touch you? Now, thing like you is in my vertical hand facing out. Is this going to be the dagger quote from Macbeth or something? Probably is, isn't it?
I'm not getting responses.
I don't remember that very well. Right. Thing like you, thing of your form is in my hand facing out. May you, Aerialis, aren't, but I want you to be in my hand facing out. With thing like you, I stab. I do a group of things, stab, and the part of my violence which is not seeing you. Do you stab? Which is not seeing you. This which does not cause you to be seen, rather, sorry. The violence here is a group of two things, one of which is the part of what I'm doing that isn't stabbing. So, I have to think a bit harder to figure out what the referent of this is.
We talked quite a bit about that little tiny section last time, and for me, it maybe doesn't have a specific one, which could be problematic.
Interesting. Okay.
We can talk about that later. It's weird.
Let's see what Alex makes of it.
Aerialis, use your lookalike to stab and do the part of the violence which is not making you visible. Do you stab? All right. The do you exist is answered. No, none of the other questions are answered. I don't know what the thing you wanted me to notice here is.
Interpret it. What is going on?
Is recognizing it as a translation of a known text going to be part of the task here?
No.
Okay. So, the shape of the hole is a dagger, or something.
It may or may not be one, but that is not part of it.
Right. Yes. So. This phase is something which I won't do very well without want to do this violence, you are pushing me towards doing it. Yeah, fine. You'll be bloody. Are you in my mind or outside in the rest of the world? Can I touch you? Your look-alike is in my hand, facing it, etc. You're not in my hand. I want you to be. The overall form leads. Popping out of interpretive mode. The overall form and you being the tool participant down here that can be used for stabbing is leading me to guess you want me to read the text as like the form of the text as part of the fun thing about the interpretation. Maybe the text is being compared to its referent, but that isn't explicitly written. Right. Yeah, I don't know. So, a part of the violence I want to do is seeing you. What is that?
Where do you read that?
Here, right? Not what I intend. Part of the violence I intend to do is seeing you. The other part is
it's
causing you to be seen. Causing myself to see you. Causing myself to see you. The other part is the other part of the effect of using your lookalike. Causing me to see you, which is Realis here. I intend to do something, one of whose parts is real. One of whose parts is causing a true thing, an asserted thing. So maybe I need to think about tense or causality or something like this. Why would that be? This is. Yeah. The time is unmarked, and I probably need to make the intention precede the seeing. Let's frame that as past. I intended to do violence, which would make me see you, and the other part of using your look-alike to stabbing people. You push me to it, you get bloody. Are you in my mind or outside? Can I hold you? Your look-alike's in my hand, you're not in my hand. I want you in my hand. Alright, now there's an interpretive step I think you think I'm missing, so
Try explaining what is going on? Like you have given glosses for various things locally, but not globally.
Glossing is not a global procedure.
Well, I realize.
You want more exegesis.
Yes.
So the addressee is a stabbing weapon of unclear reality that can bring me closer to doing this violence, and is isoformal with what I have, so is something like what does it mean for an object that's not? Well, I guess this object is a percept, so it's standard enough to use this form with it. So something that looks the same as it. I have something that looks the same as it. I have a dagger that looks the same as it. And I mean, aside from the fact that the dagger I have probably isn't animated or something enough to make me do something. And this component of the violence, although I don't understand either component very well, I am interpreting these as something like a merely tangible object and unsold or like drive to violence capable version of the same object. Possibly they are not just identical looking, but physically identical, and one just has externalized form of the writer's mental state welded onto it for the purpose of this text.
Elaborate.
I mean, is this merely a dagger, or is it some kind of
This,
you?
or is it some kind of?
Or is it some kind of thing that looks like a dagger, but well, what were? Oh, that wasn't questioned. Sorry, I have something that looks like you. The thing I have is complex. You might also be complex. I ask whether you can stab. But you look identical. And all of these are assertions about you rather than the thing I have.
thing I have can stab, but can also do this thing I haven't interpreted yet because you've scared me off, but I also don't know how to interpret seeing you as part of, causing me to see you as part of the violence, unless causing me to see you is causing me to project whatever intentions onto you to make this composite object, which looks the same. No, I mean, there is...
I did this too.
Well, I mean, the way... Don't. The way in which this isn't a neutral reading process is that you have, declared the existence of an exegetic finish line, right? And your reaction says that I'm not at the exegetic finish line. And if I were just reading this for my own sake, I'd probably post it around here.
Okay, what would your smooth English version be?
You really want me to do smooth Englishing live? I mean,
explain. Explain, summarize. Like, what's going on? Who is you?
You is something that looks like a dagger. And I think if I said the same things that I said before, but with something, with a greater level of integration in delivery, that would seem more smooth to you. That's about what I'd do if...
So, they're trying to think if there are any parts of it that you have missed. I think the part that you have not quite addressed is this.
Yes.
Bit.
Yeah, I don't know why triangle, which is the violence I intend to do and you are pushing me towards, is partly what your lookalike does that's other than stabbing, and partly causing me to see you. What does your lookalike do other than stabbing? This is the thing Jonathan said that
Well, for that
might
matter,
not
what is the
be
cause?
definite.
How is that cause working?
I mean, I guess I am taking CU to be attribute to you the attribute to you the pushing me to do violence up here, and the perhaps the having blood on you, perhaps the bloody version and the unbloody version are what's being differentiated here. That's a question. So you differ from the dagger I'm holding either by being bloodier or by, possibly by being bloodier, possibly by being more pushy to do this. Assertedly, probably by you, by the thing itself, by not existing.
By?
It's possible the dagger I'm holding doesn't exist either, but it seems to be asserted to be in my hand. Here, there's no Urialis between this and my holding it.
Sorry, trace that again.
From here to here, up this line, through this stack, through here.
Wrong. Or wait.
No, that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah. Right. So I'm. Yeah, the dagger I'm holding is not asserted Urialis.
Mm-hmm.
So, you don't exist and it does exist is one difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess part of the violence is causing me to see an non-existent thing. Making me, I don't know, sufficiently crazed by the blood or by the violence, although I don't know. I'm not translating part of the text or something that I attribute being you. And using you. This I guess could be whatever psychological effect using the dagger has that on me. That's not very different from this. It's not very different from this showing line, but I guess or causing to see. But I guess it's possibly different.
What is at the bottom of that bow?
Bow.
Between the two groups.
This.
Yes.
Yes.
What's that one?
The toll that stabbing takes on me, or something like this, is my best reading right now.
Is that integrating both sides of it?
Well, it's part of this, but since I'm now reading the left here, this causation as harm to me, I was reading that as harm to me. Maybe you want me to read it as harm to others, but others being
I think
stabbed
it's debatable what that refers to, and I will say that in the process of composing this, I originally just had an intersection, not a group, but that led to some other unintended meaning. I think the group is not exactly right, but I don't know what would be any better.
I have a reading for which it is exactly right. I agree with Jonathan that it is not unambiguous.
I want to be holding you, so I have the dagger. I'd rather be holding the special and sold bloody dagger that drives me to see it and do all this other stuff that goes with stabbing.
So you said and sold?
Yes.
Why?
Well, not as a literal reading of anything, but if it can drive me to things, capable of pushing me to doing the thing, which I guess I'm taking as. Go ahead.
I don't see causing motion of another thing as some. I mean, like you could have a boulder rolling down a hill, and then it push something else with it, right?
You want me to read this as physical motion?
Well, not necessarily. I'm just saying I don't think it needs.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think there's an implication that
Yeah,
the
I don't have a
you
good-
here intends
Yeah. I don't
cause
have a
motion
good
necessarily.
label for right. This is not causal. It is just potentially. Well, it's not using the cause morpheme. It's not intentional, is what I mean to say.
Right.
Realis or realis?
This is realis. But it's about you.
So,
So yes, ensouled is got a bad reaction, so I should not use that as my ad hoc gloss of what distinguishes you from the dagger. Probably bloody. I can use bloodied as the ad hoc gloss because that is explicitly asserted.
what's below that?
Are you in my mind or in the complement of my mind?
That's an interesting interpretation. I was wondering about this or type question, because to me that's not how I would read that. But I don't know if that's also a valid reading.
Or is not really in the reading. It's two questions. I don't know how one is supposed to answer a stack of questions, right? I guess by drawing two different things in this gap.
Well, I think there's only one question though.
Oh, you want the question
Because
to,
the stack is combined.
You want the question to oh right, yes. That is those two things are identified. No, they're identified because they're you. Because you is the so you are you the no, I think I said what I wanted, so the I don't know how Sai uses clockwise or counterclockwise. These branches ask are you inside my mind? These branches ask of everything that's not my mind, are you inside that?
Are you not inside that?
Are you not inside that? Yes.
Right.
Oh, sorry. Wait. Everything that. Oh, was I moving this negation in my rendering? Oh, okay. Now we need to do some quantifier interpretation. Right. So according to the everything is singular interpretation, this probably doesn't work. I have to use the everything isn't singular interpretation where this yields a group of all things, but it's got just two parts here, so this is why I was reading this as everything but my mind. This is something other than everything but my mind. Using that scoping order, that's not a very good scoping order.
I'm a little lost now.
I believe that it is compatible with the post-Cthulhu interpretation.
I don't think it is, because not everything is not each thing is a group of which my mind is part. So before we even get here, right,
I see.
The everything is singular style of semantics for quantifiers means that everything doesn't give me one group I can pull apart. It is making an assertion that all things are groups, etc., etc.
Sure.
By everything is singular, do you mean like it almost functions more like anything? Like if you have the universal article, it's like all such things individually, this is true of them, so that's why you can't then pull that apart as a group?
Yeah, this is a consequence. The thread about it in the Discord is got Cthulhu in its title. But I think that's not what's going on here. I think this is meant to be equivalent to a group of all things.
Yeah.
So that this is everything but my mind. This is something that's not everything but my mind. So,
Hmm.
well, are you in? Now, how do I scope this negative? It's only there. Are you in my mind and in something that's not the complement of my mind? My guess is that this is going for something like only, but I haven't actually hit on a scoping, uh, a way to scope things or other things that actually yields that. Uh, and it's going for are you only in my mind, not in anything else. But yeah,
Scoping is
yes.
hard.
Uh,
It's like a quarter of the things we've had issues with.
mm, uh,
So you have, I think, identified pretty much everything locally. Can you explain the scene, as it were? Like, can you, um, like, other than by reciting its elements, can can you can you synthesize this? And can you explain, for instance, the one uh, conversational mode entry?
I mean, my guess is that that is the referent of you saying it doesn't exist. I cannot explain that if you mean given that you is something that looks just the same as a dagger and is bloody and so on. Um, why is it answering if that's what you mean? Why can it write? But I think you don't mean that.
That is explaining that is part of the thing to do. I am not asserting either way whether what you said just now is correct or I will draw your attention to the glyph at the bottom being directly bound on both sides.
I see you.
Uh, what is the restriction on the S?
There is none. You sometimes hold there to be weird ideas that there's something funny about not using a quote on S, but no, this is straightforward. I see you, and
Yeah.
nothing is asserted to be like linguistic about it, or however you'd gloss that. But
For what it's worth, I view this as correct.
I mean, in previous settings, you've expressed unease over directly binding S, and there's nothing odd about directly binding S. I would, the outside I would gloss as I see you on top of all the other stuff. And what do you think is off about I see you? It's not I see a message of any kind about you. It's not I see something whose form is. Hold on. This will be edited out.
No, it won't. All right.
I'll wait.
Sorry. Didn't realize it did that quickly.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
If you tried to model it, you would have. I see you. That is fine, and it's not marked that there's no, that it's a direct bind to S. It's very normal to direct bind to S.
Very well, we can consider that later.
No, perhaps, but if you think it's abnormal, then I think you have a very a weird view of the semantics of communicate or perceive or whatever.
I think that the stimulus in it can only be can only be a actual perception, either sensory or cognitive, in the same way that the things that bind to graphs can only be things that have measure.
How would you translate I see you into tunnels?
I do not know.
I repudiate your interpretation because I see you should have an easy translation, and under mine it does. And under yours, you have to cast from source of percept to percept, and that shouldn't need to exist. That should be done by the semantics of communicate or perceive. So, if you think that's key to this, then we have a difference in our interpretations of the grammar.
We may well.
Jonathan is fascinated. Anyway, my interpretation's better in usability, and I guess we'll have to take this up in a thread.
Yes.
But
anyway,
yes.
What's going on? What's the deal? You have explained every component of it, but you have not explained overall what's the synthesis.
I do not have a synthesis that you would find more pleasing. Person is talking to some object identical in appearance, but not identified in the text with the dagger they're holding.
Mm-hmm.
That they want to hold, that etc., etc., etc. Might not be real, says it's not real. Is bloody, pushes them to action. You want me to synthesize that more. You want me to there is some key word that you want me to to latch on to about the relationship between the dagger and you?
I think that's not a matter of keywords. Jonathan, I think at this point, I hand to you. What? Do you have any? Do you have any questions for Alex or things that you would like to draw his attention to or explain?
Yeah, a couple of little things. So first of all, that business with the groups near the bottom was, I think, the last thing I changed about this before posting it, because originally the rel coming from Triangle bottom instance was just splitting there rather than grouping to say that, you know, potential future violence is both a intended result of this tool and also the thing that causes me to see you. But the problem with that is that also directly connects result of the tool and me seeing you, which I didn't want to say that this was a tool for seeing you, which is otherwise, I think, what that would have been saying. So the group was there to prevent that connection, but I didn't really consider at the time that made that one little curve its own thing, which is not well defined.
Right.
So like the little that bit, yeah.
This is.
So I have no idea how I would describe what that actually represents, but that's sort of just there to say this tool causes both stabbing and specifically this future violence, and future violence is also the cause of me seeing you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird little bit.
Right. Maybe it's this one that wants not to be a group, but why?
But again, that then would form an unintended connection.
Yeah, that would.
So I don't know how to get rid of that.
This one is the one you had as being a. Is it this one that wants to be a Y? That says this one's a Y, then this doesn't connect to anything.
If that's a stack?
No, just
yeah, maybe.
Straight connection. Yeah.
Oh. That could be.
What would you view as being at that point?
At this point.
Yeah, right there.
So that would be stabbing, which then is the part of the intended future violence other than causing you to appear to me.
So that would be the stabbing itself?
Yes. The stabbing itself would then be part of Triangle rather than the thing the stabbing goes with being part of Triangle.
Rather than the thing that it goes with.
Yeah, right. So here is something that goes with that, the effect of this tool is to stab and do X, and the intended future violence is to reveal you to me and do X. Solve for X. This is the question we were focusing on. X, yeah, X is, I think, just supposed to be the stabbing, is what Jonathan is saying.
I concur with that reading in the group.
This
but I
is probably not helpful to reaching the synthesis you're trying to reach.
Correct.
There was one other. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
One other small thing as you were doing your sort of overview gloss, which was the what was it? The beak, right? Is what you called that glyph, the pointed exist glyph.
Oh yeah.
applies only to you and not to the real dagger. I think you said you glossed it as sort of belonging to both, but it is only the one.
Aha. This stack, well, it applies to what I want to be true of you as well. Or
No, I don't think so. Because that's just hand.
That's hand. Yes. Okay. So hand is.
Yeah.
Oh right. This I was putting this stack here. Okay, that's what you're saying. This stack doesn't transpose here. So.
What is that part you're pointing at, by the way?
I mean.
Yeah. That.
Thing like you is in my hand.
Okay.
You may be in my hand. You are yes, okay. Only you are facing out in that orientation. So, alright. So, is dagger with, I mean, we didn't have the conversation about the beak that I forget whether it was Ipamanka by the time this was posted, otherwise it could be a riff on that, and the one object is dagger without orientation, and you are dagger with orientation.
I mean,
that is
not technically wrong. Not, I think, the most important fact about it, but true.
You are probably. This identity I might be taking too literally. If you are bloody and dagger I'm holding now looks the same, then dagger I'm holding now is bloody.
I wonder whether I don't think it has ever occurred to me, but to use the sort of similar in an unspecified way for the forms rather than identical forms.
For what it's worth, I think that whether a thing is covered is not a question of its form.
Oh, I see.
That's also
that's
reasonable,
a dodge. Yeah. Okay. So right. I shouldn't be taking the covering as part of the appearance of the base thing, even though I can't see the base thing for all the blood on it.
Yes, well...
Underneath...
Well, it's not saying it's on the entire surface, right?
Yeah.
It's just saying it's on the surface.
So, okay. Maybe it is also coextensive with the dagger in physical existence, and... they're both covered in blood, because I shouldn't read that as distinguishing here. And I have the simple dagger, and I don't have you.
What do you make of the fact that this is a conversation with a thing that is later asserted to not exist?
It is also strongly suspected of not existing before that answer is given, of being figmentary. So, I mean, I don't know, the fact that it confirms that it doesn't exist is... I don't know how to milk that for stronger information than already that it would seem that it is a figment.
What?
So this...
Sorry, go ahead.
there's an interesting thing that both of you, when reading this for the first time, made an assumption that was not my intention,
Okay.
which is that the answer comes from someone else. Personally, I would definitely have used a different color if that's what I intended, for it to be someone else answering the question. Maybe it's the fact that it's bolded,
Yeah,
but because that...
I took the bolding to be a different pen, and that
it was meant as emphasis.
It was meant as the same pen. Maybe the fact that it was the same color means it. Yes, okay. So
because if you talk about in the document bolding is a means of emphasis, then
yeah,
probably shouldn't also be the distinction between voices.
Right. This, yeah, I mean, I had at one point as I was talking through it, I put on my list of things to suggest and didn't get back around to it that maybe it's bolding for emphasis. If it were, then it is me vehemently asserting you don't exist. Asking myself and asserting
after talking so much.
Yeah. So, deciding you don't exist is something like deciding against the stated intention that you are driving me towards.
Elaborate?
What
do you mean by deciding against?
I don't know. It might not be deciding, but if this is you, and I mean the realization of this intention is most closely written about here, I think, even though it's Urialis, and that is something which you are bringing about, then maybe your not existing means this is unrealized.
Okay. I see the inference.
I mean, you is dagger plus my guilty conscience after having used it, and
after having used it,
or something, not after probably. Given the sequencing of this, I don't know the sequencing yet. Before, I guess more like
given the motion towards and also the use of intention rather than intend and do or something like that.
You are dagger, which will be used. So probably I should see the violence is entirely unrealized, and the addressee as dagger imbued with being to be used for this violence as some kind of composite object or whatever. Composite is not right. Soul got a strong reaction, so it's very much not like that, but like dagger qua weapon to be used versus inert dagger or something. And so the speaker decides that it will remain inert.
Anything further you would like to point or explain or state?
Not really. Oh, I guess the only other thing is the whole everything bit, which is interesting. I think I didn't know your view on everything as singular at the time that I wrote this.
That's a couple months old. I think it derived from all the other quantifiers being easier to read as singular and for uniformity.
It makes sense. It definitely does render this not quite right, but and also the negation is interesting. I hadn't thought about it I wonder if there needs to be, if the negation should be on the little fork section of the stack rather than where it is. That you not be
that's
in what is everything,
that's
other than my mind.
I think, yes. Yes.
Yeah, that probably makes more sense. With the with basically any of the location related glyphs, when there's two different things, either figure ground or collocation, I'm always like, it's a decision where you put a negation if you're going to.
Yes.
Because if it's just saying two things are not in the same place, it's pretty much arbitrary which side of the circle you put it on, but then sometimes it might give some sort of implication. And obviously with the figure ground thing, it's a slightly different case, but that is still a decision to be made.
I should be better at thinking these negations through. Why am I more disposed to read one of those the way you want the other? Because I can get, I can make it come out wrong if the negation is here too. You are in my mind, and something that's not you in my complement of my mind. So, yeah,
something
this
is elsewhere.
Right.
Not a very strong assertion.
This is you. Recently in the book, Sai, you were looking at my attempt to use universal and indefinite together with scoping to mean unique, and you didn't get it. But using two articles to do it at least means that we don't have to throw a negation, and we should probably write something somewhere about only.
Yes.
It almost feels like if you place negation on a glyph rather than on a rel, it might sometimes be more straightforward, because you can always play that trick of like, I don't eat whatever, or I don't move, but then you could say, well, is that actually saying something that is not me does move? Like, you could always do that, and I think that's probably not super useful most of the time.
That's probably not super useful most of the time. The first solution we provided was putting a hook on one side of the negation slash.
Oh, that's right.
That is, we forget that all the time too. But that was Yami uses it well, and it was meant to cure these kind of things.
Do you remember where that is in the document?
It's with the rest of the negation.
Oh, right, there's negation. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So potentially that could clear up this in part, although I think the biggest issue is the article is that you're talking about.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So do you want more exegesis from me, Sai?
I feel like I'm happy with that. But
simple physical dagger with, dagger as imminent weapon. You are happy with that, Jonathan?
Yeah, I feel like aside from you speculating on what the context of this might be, I feel like you've basically covered the whole thing pretty thoroughly.
Okay.
And
it tickles dim memories of this soliloquy from Macbeth, as I was saying.
Namely?
Yeah.
This is the dagger I see before me. I don't remember the next line, though, right?
The handle pointed towards my hands. Come, let me clutch thee. I have not yet thee still.
Yeah, yeah. It's that.
I had it memorized because I heard it every day for weeks, but it's been a little while at this point.
All right, so it is that. Yes.
It's posted in the forum post where this was, if you want to look. Or I can paste it in the chat here.
Yes.
Or we can just.
I will let you drive.
Oh, that'll do it too.
Yeah. Heat oppressive. Yeah.
This is just about the first half of this.
Mm.
Up to.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you have any comments on the metaphor or poetic form or
The shaping is perfectly done. The spot is well placed for symmetry.
Aspect of the shaping?
It was off to the first version, and I had to fix it this month.
There are another aspect of the shape. There are a comparative lot of things down the center line, if that's what you want me to see.
That is the.
Yeah, I forget what that's called. There's a name for this. Fuller. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, and the handle and the hilt are represented.
This was even more strong in the first version.
The
hilt part of it.
The hilt part. Is there another feature I should see?
Graphically, no. To my view, there is a thoroughgoing sort of binary dilemma going on here. Like, on the right is reality, on the left is possibility. Which
you mean this line?
Yes.
This line is asserted.
It is asserted to not exist.
But before that, it's asserted.
That is true. But it is nevertheless a dilemma between the two folks. That this entire discussion is with a hallucination that is itself a what's the cogsci word? It's an epiphenomenon as it were, of the intention to cause harm. Which is sort of all leading up to that central will he, won't he.
Right.
Um,
That is that. I mean, do you think that is more present in the form than the binding entails it should be? Lots of things are questions in here, and there are enough questions that it's, clearly a writing of someone in doubt, thinking things through. But
I agree, but to me, so it's hard to say like to what extent it is forced, I suppose. But to me, there is this sort of interplay of the dagger I have and the illusory one, the feeling I may actually have and the lack of it. My mind and my figment, my possibility of harm and the drive toward it, etc., which I view to be a poetic device.
To me, it's not formally realized enough to be poetic. I mean, I can see you like apportioning out the things discussed here into the will he or won't he sides of the dilemma, but it's not the case that one is the left column and one is the right column. This crosses, this crosses, this crosses, this crosses, this.
It crosses, but
I mean, there is a choice of what's left and what's right here, but not
that
very
one
strong in the global.
I agree that one is
Yeah.
strong.
This is internally on the left, so if you want the left side, which it has to be to connect this up, I guess
Yes.
this could have crossed, but if you want the left side to be the side of greater unreality, then this being on the left
That
side
is true.
doesn't accord.
I mean, it's an obvious reason for all this. It's just that
But it fits that.
the speaker is on the right and the dagger is on the left, and
Yeah, of
like
course.
that's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
sort of
That
stuff lines up that way.
Yes, that part.
And I think,
I agree. To me, that is the primary determinant of the layout, and I think Sai is trying to like see a secondary poetic feature in the layout independent of that one, and I'm arguing it isn't there.
Perhaps so.
yeah, I don't think it's. I think it's not independent. It's just sort of
right,
vague,
but,
and definitely as a result of the other.
Having a big co-reference here and a big co-reference here already imposes a lot of structure, and
True.
I don't know if you call that structure poetic. We used it, perfectly prosaically in the relay before the last one.
True.
But that structure is probably good style as well.
There's what was it? There is another aspect of this which I found to be striking, which is that the realization that the you being addressed is in fact a figment, an illusion, parallels the English text where the realization comes towards the end. Whereas in Unnals, of course, there is no way to force the timing, but there is the aha of realizing not just that he's talking to a dagger, but that he's talking to an imaginary dagger in his own mind, which his own intentions have caused him to see.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that there is a sort of delayed aha in realizing this and reading the Unnals text, to me acts very much like a punchline in the story. Like the last bit in the text, there's no such thing as the bloody business which informs us to mine eyes. There's no way to delay that in the Unnals.
Jonathan said the screen has failed in quality.
Yeah, I do not know why.
I see. That I don't know what. I mean, so I guess it's not asserted to be a figment. It's asked whether it's a figment.
Sure.
But also, you know, both of us are. You throw around the word fluent of Unnals users. As readers go, I am a couple orders of magnitude slower, at least when I'm talking things through to camera. Maybe when I'm actually reading, it's less a discrepancy, but I still suspect that this is possibly like a non-internalization effect, and someone who read the thing, a putative native user who read the thing and, even if it was top to bottom, got to hear an assert that was a figment, and so the writer was addressing a figment, would have that then. And
would have that. Sorry, when?
On reading it. I mean, I don't think the fact that the writer is addressing a figment is merely implicit here, right? It's not stated, but it is stated with a polar question on it, which is as close as you come to stating it without stating it. Okay, not quite, but it's not the kind of difficult exegetical matter of inferring the figmentariness from something that's not in the text. It's just really inferring the answer yes to a question in the text, which is just the converse of Veterans' law. And
what if that section weren't there?
If
the in my mind part.
Then it would, I don't know, I'm spoiled at that. It would be harder to interpret overall.
For me, there was a aha moment.
Was it the aha of recognizing what was being translated?
No.
No.
I didn't. I didn't recognize it.
Okay.
And at first, I had interpreted the U as like a normal entity, and the midsection as talking about say, a homunculus or evil twin or so forth.
The which section?
The similarity
Oh, that the
in form.
that this was plain and this was the evil twin.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Or the other way around. But in any case, that
Well, it is the other way around.
sure. But in any case, not that they were like not sapiens. Given that, he's talking to it
Right.
as a you.
Right.
So, to me, that the sort of effect of a Gestalt realization is
I see. I think you had
strong.
some sharp edges in your understanding of this thing, and I guess I had being told, oh, I shouldn't read this as a separate pen. But perhaps not so many sharp edges, and also maybe a more guided reading experience just by the form in which we're doing this for everyone on YouTube. And
There were a couple moments the other day when I was guiding Sai a little bit, and had exactly that same moment with the other pen thing.
I see.
So
Yeah, I have the same.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is deploying the trope that the original deploys to similarly good effect. I guess here we have some rhetorical figures which transcend whether your language is linear or not.
The metaphor you mean being pushed and so forth.
I didn't mean at that level. I just mean like this idea of talking to a figment.
Right.
actually, the first version of this I posted didn't have the euglyph in it at all. In place of that was where the exist was, and there was some figure ground stuff to be the handle or the hilt or whatever. But yeah, I wasn't sure at first whether I should include the U, and then I figured why not. It does really change the reading though, doesn't it?
Yes. So how much conversation is there right about all this? Oh, I see. What was the last one in the thread? We were working on the second last.
There was one edit which was a shortening of the rel that has the universal glyph to make it clearer that it was. Oh, this is the first one. Yeah, to make it obviously not a rel gap.
Yeah.
And then I changed the definition of the pronoun slightly to be the intention of violence rather than the violence itself.
Oh, I see. Yep.
But then that kind of actually didn't make sense in the end, because then I'm saying that the intention of the violence is one of the results of the tool, which is not accurate. It also necessitated a change with the motion stuff to say that I am going towards the place of that rather than this. And when talking about this with Sai, I realized also that I could have just written that the motion was towards the person that the violence will be done to, because that would also be accurate, rather than to the place that is of the violence, which was also just a little bit awkward because I was saying something unspecified that is co-located with potential violence, which I intended as the place where that happens, but that was not super clear, I think. Yeah.
The use of the intent to form a I forget what they are. Handguard here is fairly cute, I think. In the original version.
Yes.
But I think it also works like that. But I think it definitely is better with you rather than unspecified.
Yeah, and the U is in the original.
Well, not just that,
but I mean, sure. Not I don't mean not just that, but I mean, Shakespeare also knew what he was doing.
Sure. That is true.
Nice of you to imply that I did.
Not an unintended implication.
Any further comments or questions for either of you?
Yeah.
I think so.
This is another very well executed thing.
Thank you. It was really in my head a lot during. So I was in a show, in a production, and I was doing music, and most of the music I was doing was between scenes, but there was some under certain passages, and I was playing some very dramatic music under basically this section of the speech, cutting off at the line, there's no such thing.
On viola?
Which was basically... Sorry?
On viola?
Viola, yeah. And originally I left this off at there's no such thing, and just had it be a translation of the section that I had, that I was playing under, but it made more sense to me to just go slightly further.
I'm curious what the accompanying music to it was.
It was just dissonant tremolo, essentially. It was not super coherent at that point. It was like one pedal tone. It was the D above middle C, if that makes any difference. And then another which was drifting around it, getting very close to being quite dissonant, and then right at the end as it sort of falls apart, drifting way downward from there.
That's a cute figure. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there was I actually gave a little talk on the music in the show because I was doing a lot of different stuff with it. It was all quite dissonant. It was fun.
Is the talk online somewhere?
No. Well, I don't think so. I don't know. I think it was filmed, but it was being live streamed. I don't know if that got saved. I'm also not sure if it even actually was, because it was right before a concert, so they might have just had that stuff set up and turned it on for the concert. I don't know.
I'd be interested if it is available.
I'll check. I wasn't super articulate because I didn't know I was going to be giving the talk until about a day before. So.
Alex didn't know he was going to be doing this until
Indeed.
an hour before.
I don't know. No, an hour before, I thought I was going to sit at my computer and look at the thread containing Jonathan's text number 10 and produce an interpretation. But actually, I was tonight's entertainment. So.
Indeed.
Yeah. I've been Tom Scott.
That was good. I enjoyed it.
You have.
I have not.
The 3 versions on Discord, by the way, are the 8th through 10th of the ones I have saved. Various drafts. There are some very messy sketches, and the very first one of them is in no particular shape.
That's fine. Like having.
I mean, I didn't come across the idea of the shape until that point, but it was just funny looking back through them. Like, oh, what is this mess?
Start with the shape. I would have guessed you started with the shape and fit the rest of the stuff inside it.
I mean, I did, but I started off with, I don't know, I always start just by writing whatever stuff and adding it as I can, and then I figure out a better form later on.
Yeah. I would suggest, if you're willing, that you post the other versions on the thread.
I may do.
Spoiler dice.
I did post drafts of my most recent one. I don't know if you saw the song.
Oh, wait, no, that's not. Is that
I made a new post for it. Number 14.
A sec. Here we go.
Just, I mean, not suggesting you look at it now, but I did post drafts.
Oh, that. Oh, I had not seen that.
Let us end this stream and leave something for the future.
Yes, very well. Well, I hope this was enjoyable. And hopefully, the ones of you who are watching this in the future who are not Yami or Jonathan will get something out of having watched this.
Internet, good night, everyone.
Have been and remain Sai. So, good night, Internet.
Thank you. Good night.